Okay, so all right. So we had Jeff Hill, who's the senior vice president of global sales, come talk to us. And he's the one, it was so funny to meet him because he's the one on the videos, Corey, like that you know who he is.
Yeah.
But he was so nice. And like the funniest thing to me was when he said, he's like, there are dumber people than you that are successful in this business. He's like, you don't have to like make it, I'm going to look at my notes on my phone here. You don't have to make it more complicated than it is. Oh, I just saw that you texted me, Lindsay. Sorry. So anyway, he just, well, first I'll start with, because Doug Moss talked to us, and he's helps the 6-star and above diamond coaches in like our region of the United States. He helps them like become elite and all that stuff. So he came and talked to us too. And he's like from Blackfoot, Idaho, and was just like a really down to earth guy and was really good. But he talked about just that how simple the business is and how it's just, we overcomplicate it. And if we just boil it down to finding 3 people every month to help, which is not that overwhelming when you think about it, and just hitting Success Club every month, just Success Club 5, and just finding those 3 people, then it's super simple. He also talked a lot about becoming an elite coach, which to be honest, I don't know what all the details are, but kind of what I got from that was like we can't set our goal, we can't limit ourselves with our goals and think, oh, that's not something that I could achieve. He talked about this girl that he, and I forget her name, but she lived in Hawaii, and he's like, she has every reason to not be successful in this business. She lived in a small town in Hawaii, completely rural Hawaii. She had 4 kids. Was her husband worked all the time, just didn't have a lot of time. And she, you know, so, but he talked to her about being an elite coach, and she was like, but I can't do that. There's no way I can become an elite coach. And once she decided that she was going to be an elite coach, then, I mean, that's the difference that it made. And she would send him a Facebook message every day that said, I am an elite coach, 5 times every day for an entire year. And anyway, long story short, she ended up being the elite coach, one of the elite coaches. So then when Jeff talked to us, and it's funny, Doug would get so emotional about all that because just, I don't know, I think a lot of times we just limit ourselves on what we think we can do, you know, like we set our goals. I mean, we need to set our goals to be attainable, but not limit ourselves with where we want to be. So when Jeff talked to us, I sat there and I seriously felt like, I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe, like I felt like there was like I was in the exact right spot at the right time, you know, like I was hearing exactly what I needed to hear. And he, you know, because we get overwhelmed, especially Lindsay being super brand new and like trying to figure out all the ins and outs of what the business entails and how you're going to build it and everything. But he said Beachbody should give you your life. It should not be your life. It should give you your life. And he said you just have to find that balance of, you know, making sure that this is what Beachbody is not your life. It can't consume you, but it's going to enhance our life. And then he talked about this book called Good to Be Great. He's like, I don't know that I recommend you reading it right now because it's a business book, but he just talked about how so many people are okay with being good because there's nothing wrong with being good. You don't get in trouble for being good, and being good it's fine, you know, but how do we become great? How do we push ourselves to the next level and become great? And the first thing that he really talked about was being really honest with where you are now and your strengths and your weaknesses. I mean, something that you're not good at is not really, you know, and just being really honest with your finances, honest with how much time you can in reality spend on this business. how much, be honest with where you want to be. And just taking a step back and being really brutally honest with yourself and where you're at, where your confidence level's at, what you're confident in doing, what you're super scared of doing, but you know you need to do. And then he talked about the hedgehog concept. And I don't know if you guys have heard that fable where like the hedgehog is just a hedgehog, but he's really good at doing one thing, and that's rolling away when the fox comes. And the fox is really good at all these different things, but he still can't catch the hedgehog because the hedgehog is really good at doing one thing. And I think when we try to find our niche in building our business, we look at so many other people and all their talents, and we can be kind of really honest with ourselves and figure out, well, this is one thing I'm really good at. And if I really focus on this and focus on how I'm good at this, and this is how I'm going to attract people to the business or to, you know, the challenge groups or whatever, because I'm really good at this, then that's, you know, one of the keys to success. So look at being the best, or look at the thing you can be the best at, what you're good at. And he talked about this in 3 circles. So look at what you're good at. What do you have passion for? Because you can't make that up. You can't, you know, say, well, like if you're not passionate about fitness, then, you know, I mean, Brigitte says flat out, she's like, I'm not passionate about fitness. I never have been, but she's passionate about the business end of things. And so whatever that is for you, find what you're passionate about, what you can be the best at, and then from a business perspective, how it can make you money. And that's where I think when we dial it back down to just finding those 3 people and hitting that success club every month, and keeping it simple helps. And in the middle of those 3 things, what we're best at, what we're passionate about, and then the business aspect of it, he's called that your sweet spot. So anyway, he talked about just, you know, finding our passion and what really drives us and what really makes life meaningful for us. And then he talked about finding more clarity of what you want, like why. I mean, we talk about a lot of like your why in this business, but really dialing in on that, and it evolves and changes, I think. But the more that we are driven by our why and why we want to do this, the more we're driven to do those things that will build it. And for me, he said something that really, I was just like, oh my gosh, that adds to my why. And this is why I want to do this. And he said, so I don't know if you guys have heard like the big, hairy, audacious goals, the BHAGs or whatever, those should be, Carl Deichler talked about ending the trend of obesity. That's his big, hairy, audacious goal. And when you think about that, like in a world perspective, that is a big, hairy goal. I mean, Lindsay, you know, you see at the hospital all the time, like how many obese people are. And to say, I'm going to end the trend of obesity, that's huge, you know. How's it going to end the trend of obesity completely? So we have to have that huge, huge, outlandish goal in mind. And he said it can't be, you know, a lot of people set these goals like, I'm going to make $6,000 a month in the next 6 months, or in the by this time next year, I'll be making $6,000 a month in this business, or I'm going to be a certain rank by this month. And those are all good short-term goals, but the goal that will really add to our why and the big, hairy goal, he said, think about, I want to pay for 5 generations of grandkids' college education. You know, I want to leave that legacy to my kids and pay for their college education. Or I want to leave, you know, and that to me, like that is so much more of a worthy goal to me to, you know, or have that security fund. Like for me, being a single mom, I thought, well, what if I had like some security fund for my kids when times got tough and they needed the help? Like having that, you know, ability to pay that forward. And he's like 5 generations down and someone has this college fund and they say, well, who's this guy that paid for my college fund? I mean, so that kind of stuff just made those goals more meaningful to me and just kind of gave me more drive to, and more, that just made so much more sense to me. And that's what I love about this company is it's not focused on you can make good money and you can do amazing things, but we really focus on dialing it back to helping people change their lives. And then, and I loved how he said at first that Beachbody should give you a life and not be your life. And it should give you that life that you want to spend more time with your family, to be able to work when you can. And that just, I felt like before this retreat, I was kind of almost getting into a little bit of funk going like, where, what are the things that I need to be doing? But I don't know if what I'm doing is really making a difference. And just that gave me so much more clarity of there's such a bigger picture out there. And anyway, so that was those were the big things as far as what those guys said. And I'll try not to take too much time. But that's kind of what I wanted to share with you from those guys. And then the other thing that I thought was so cool about the retreat. So what it was, Lindsay, if you don't know, Brigitte is my coach, and it was all of her personally sponsored coaches that could make it. She put on this retreat for them. And there was over 30 coaches there from, brand new coaches that signed up last week to, 6-star diamonds in one business center. And, she would be 15-star diamonds. So Breezy is who I'm talking about. Some really successful coaches that are making 6 figures and bringing their husbands home. So it was just really, excuse me, really neat to see all the coaches and how there's not one way to do it. There's not like we've watched Brigitte do it her way, but and Mindy Rose, Corey might know who I'm talking about. She's in the network. She's like, I quit for an entire year because she had a baby with spina bifida and had some health problems. And she's like, but now she's bringing her husband home from work completely. And just to see, and it's not like I'm encouraging anybody to quit, but just to see that like she still has been able to be successful, even though she's had setbacks. And everybody has their setbacks and struggles and their own journey, and it doesn't have to be one certain way. So, it takes the hard work and the dedication, but it doesn't have to be one certain way. So that was really cool. And just how willing everybody, the thing that I love about Beachbody is everybody's like, oh my gosh, let me show you what I'm doing for this training and what I'm doing for this and what I'm doing for my coaches here, and how willing everybody is to share. And that's, the other thing that I love about this business is everybody is so just willing to help and they want you to just succeed. It's not a competition. So it was cool. And I really hope like one day I'm able to, like in a year from now, I hope to be able to do not something to that extent, but not quite yet, but have a retreat with all my coaches and do something, even if it's just, a weekend little getaway to just, build those bonds and like, be around so many people that have the same goals in mind and, same goals for their family and their life. And, I was talking to this girl that's a coach, and she's from New York City, and she's an ER nurse in New York City. And she, is just sick of being a nurse and hates the way she's being treated. Lindsay, you can probably relate to that.
Yep.
Is so sick of how patients treat her, how the hospital treats her, how she's, barely gets a lunch break, how she, and why did she become a nurse? Because she wanted to help people. But the way that, nursing and healthcare is now doesn't even allow you to do that anymore. And how we just talked for a long time about how we just feel so much more purpose doing what we're doing with Beachbody and helping people before they get to that point that they're so sick and so far gone, and helping them change their lives and empowering them and giving them the tools they need to live a more healthy and fulfilling life. So, it was really cool to talk to her and she's like, that's my purpose, is I'm going to motivate or help nurses get out of the situation they're in and how they're being so treated horribly and help them so that they can change lives in other ways. And, so anyway, that was the other really cool part. I I thought there was. And there, so yeah, in a year from now, I'm going to have some sort of retreat or something for you guys, because you'll still be here, and other coaches. And so it was exciting. It's exciting to see. And it's exciting to see coaches that went last year. It was their first retreat, and where they are now a year from coming to that retreat last year. And it's huge. So I just know, and Corey and I have talked about this a lot, like a year from now, I think we'll all be surprised where we're at and how far we've come. So it's just been really exciting. So there's one other thing I want to go over with you guys, but first I want to hear from you and how your week is going and so if you want to just maybe tell me your greatest success for the week, and then maybe a personal development aha moment. I think those are awesome to share. And then if you have any questions or anything like that, then we can do that. Do you want to start, Corey?
Sure. I've kind of been having an off week or whatnot, so I don't know if there's any major successes, but I just was I listened to a call last Monday with Keisha Fitzgerald and someone else.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And I just, from that, came making sure that I'm targeting the people that I want to help. I feel like I've been being really broad. And so that back into perspective that, I'm a stay-at-home mom who was just kind of lost. And then I'm finding myself. So that's kind of put me back on track. And then I've been reading The Compound Effect. And I mean, it's just like the slide edge. We just have to remember to do those small things every day. It'll help us become successful. Because I've noticed when I don't do my personal development, when I'm not inviting, things just go in a lull and you get frustrated. But when you're not doing those things, you're not going to go anywhere. People aren't just going to come to you.
Right.
So I've really focused on that. And then I finally hit SC5 yesterday.
Oh, yay! Awesome. See, you were so nervous about it and you did it.
I was. So
awesome.
So I'm glad about that. And then, so I'm just going to keep powering through and
cool.
who else I can help.
Awesome. So Keisha was at the retreat and it was so cool to meet her. And she was funny because she met Brigitte on Instagram just searching a quote, which is so crazy to think about. She was searching a quote and then she met her and she flew out from New York too. But she was saying, just like what you were saying, Brigitte, her coach, her target audience was completely different than Keisha's. And Keisha's I had to just immediately just go do my own thing.
Yeah.
And really, I think it goes down to back to just really figuring out who you are and just being completely you. Not everybody is going to like you, but the people that are going to most relate with you are the people that are like you. So the more yourself you can be, the better, because then they get that connection and it's more authentic. And so awesome. Okay, Lindsay.
Well, I haven't really had much success at all.
No, you have. Just because you have, I'm sure you have.
I've been doing been getting little nibbles and then no one ever really bites. And so I don't know how to, I followed up with people, but I don't know how many times you follow up before you get annoying. I don't want to be that person. And so I haven't had anyone be super interested. I'll kind of talk about things and just say, hey, I've got this. I'll pick people that from my friends list I know are posting things. I had this girl who I even work with occasionally. She's a weekend aide at the hospital, and she was posting things about this cleanse she was doing. So, I talked to her and I'm like, oh, I've got this great thing that you should do. You would love it. And so, then she's kind of interested, but then when I explain the whole thing, then she's like, oh, I don't know if I'm coming off too salesy, or I'm trying not to, but I'm just sharing what's worked for me. And then like I just never hear back, and I'll follow up, and I get excuses why they can't do it. So I don't know where I'm going wrong, but
well, all of that's part of the process, right, Corey?
It is.
It's totally part of the process, and that's going to happen. Like that's, and I think, it's just all part of it. And just remember though, I know like I've had a lot of people that I talked to in the beginning that kind of like didn't respond and were kind of wondering what I was doing and why I was bugging them. But then that seed was planted. And then when they're ready, because you're never going to make somebody ready when they're not ready.
Yeah. You're never going to change their, you're never going to change their mind.
Yeah, you can't change their mind. So you're planting that seed and you're letting them know that you're there when they're ready, and people will come around. And that's, people say all the time, no does not mean no. It's usually just no, not right now. Yeah. So just keep that in mind and don't get discouraged by that. And
so
also
it's just time, because I've been like working at it every day, doing my 3 vital behaviors and inviting and talking, and I'm getting no bites.
It is totally just time, and make sure, and like I said, like it is so much work for like no pay at the beginning. It is so much, and that's what it feels like. It's like you're just spinning your wheels and working, but all of this, even your inviting and your rejection that you're getting, that's all like, it's just making you better at it too. Like you're going to get better and more comfortable with it. So it's all part of the process. And I usually just try to follow up with people. Like if I don't hear a response, I'll follow up with them 2 more times usually. And one time it's like, hey, and I just kind of fill it out too. It's not always the same, and I'll be like, hey, just let me know if I'm bugging you. I don't want to be bugging you. But I just wanted to make sure that, you got my message, and a lot of times people are like, oh yeah, I was totally going to respond, but I didn't, but I didn't get around to it. So yeah. And then another thing that you can say is, well, if now's not a good time, do you want me to check back with you in a couple of months? And then you can mark on your calendar to check back with them. So that's one thing I've done too. And then it puts it in, and then usually they're like, yeah, just, give me a couple months and check back with me. And then when you check back with them, it's because they asked you to,
Okay.
So that's,
how do you pick? I've just been trying to be real strategic about like who I'm picking on my friends list to give invites to, so that I'm not just because I'm like, okay, this person really might be interested or whatever. Like, I don't want to pick some random guy I went to high school with that has no interest in that stuff and just say, hey, because then it comes across like I really am trying to sell something, I feel.
Right.
Like, so how do you go about like deciding how you do your invites or who you extend the invitation to? You know what I mean? Like, does that make sense?
You can look at, like, a lot of times, like, well, you're doing it right, like just whatever you think, but people that are liking your photos too, and people that are, commenting and liking your stuff, you can reach out to them, like, and be like, hey, I noticed you like this, and I was just wondering how you're doing. And, it's always takes the pressure off too when that first message says nothing about Beachbody and nothing about what you're doing and what you're selling, just talking about like, oh, I saw this picture of your kids, that was so funny, or, stuff like that. So that kind of helps take the pressure off. And like, just like, what have you been up to lately? And then they ask you the same thing. And then that gives you an opportunity to say, oh, well, I've been doing this fitness stuff. And you can even say, if you or anybody would be interested, let me know, like
right.
if you or your sister, if you were, and then that way you get that referral too. So those are just some, yeah.
And I have been working hard at like, I've just been picking like 2 or 3, between 2 and 5 people each day to just like send a personal message to and just say, hey, I was thinking about you. I noticed this, or what have you been? So,
and it will pay off. It will really pay off. It will. And it just, like at first especially, it's just going to feel like a ton of work for nothing. Yeah. And you're going to wonder.
That's what it's feeling like right now.
Yeah. Any other tips, Corey, that you can think of?
I would just say keep going, because I've been doing it probably for 4 or 5 months now, and I'm finally starting to feel like it's paying off. So like at the beginning, it is frustrating, and keep posting because like the most random people will contact me that I never thought would even be interested. So they're watching even if they're not commenting, and when they're ready, they'll come to you. So.
Okay.
And
okay, that's what I'm hoping.
And I think being really consistent, that's one thing Corey's really good at, is being really consistent with their posting and just being proof of the products and just doing those non-salesy posts, like having your Shakeology and being like, but doing something else or whatever, being like, you know, I think that's just those little plugs and just like getting people involved in your life. And as they watch you be consistent and you're like, and then they'll see, oh, they're really sticking with us and they really love it. That's when they kind of come around and are like, okay, well, this is really legitimate. This isn't just, you know, so it just takes time. And you have to remember that this is so far from a get rich quick thing.
Right.
I mean, you just have to remember those first few months are really hard in feeling like you're not, you know, doing it, but just, I mean, you're doing all the right things for sure. So
I just want to make sure I'm doing the right thing. And I've been doing, so for my personal development, did I tell you I signed up for the Shalene's Crazy Confidence Club?
Oh yeah, you did. That's awesome. I love her.
Yeah, I love her too. But it wasn't cheap, but I thought, well, okay, maybe if I can just practice some of this stuff, like even on my patients.
Yeah.
So I really have been, and like I was saying, you know, I was quitting. I had a quit date in mind, and I ended up sticking around. I don't know if you knew this, because did you know my dad got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer?
Yeah, Julie told me about that a little bit.
Yeah, so he's doing the chemo right now, and he's actually like doing really well because he was like so fit and exercising and eating the right things before. But anyway, we have not only our cardiac rehab program, but we have our cancer rehab program. So he's been coming up to that, and so my mom's like, please don't quit until he's through that program. So then I'm like, okay, I won't. So I pushed back a quit date. So I am there working with patients still, and I've been trying just the things to like, I mean, I don't feel like I'm super shy, but there's situations where I'm shy. And so I'm trying to overcome those shyness moments. And so part of the things she suggests in there is to just like to improve your likability. You want people to make people think you like them, or, you know, you generally do want to like them. But the way to do that is to ask them questions. So I've been challenging myself to just so to whoever it is, just ask 5 questions. So even with my patients that I don't have a real relationship with yet, if I have a minute, I'm not busy with something, and I'll just go talk to them while they're on the treadmill or whatever, and just ask them 5 questions about their life. And so and it's been working. It's been kind of, you know, built better relationships with patients, which has actually made my job satisfaction better. Like I've been happier at work than I had been before.
Yeah.
So that's good.
That's good. That's a good, thanks for sharing that moment, or, you know what I mean? Like, cause that's a good reminder to me too. Like when we're reaching out to these people, we have to remember that like the biggest part, like and I think as a new coach too, it's really easy to feel like you want to barf all this information because you're like super excited about it. You know, like some of my first messages were like, oh my gosh, like super just barf all this information. And most of the time we have to just ask those questions, and that's good. Ask 5 questions. I wrote that down because that's really good for me to hear too. Just ask 5 questions and then I think that makes them think too about why they want to do this. And if we ask the questions like, well, why do you want to get healthy? Why do you want to get fit? Why do you want to, you know, it kind of makes them think as they're answering those questions about why they want to do it. And it gives them that push to be like, okay, I really do need to do this for whatever reason. So we're never going to make them, you know, anything we tell them is usually not going to make them make that decision. It's when they figure out why they want to do it for themselves that they get excited about it. So my free account just said this will end in 10 minutes. So so I uploaded this to our team page. I'm going to start adding more files from the Forward Fitness page to the Team Ignite page so that they're just easily accessible there. But this is one thing that Brigitte really hounds on me to keep doing is this activity tracker. So I added it to the files. I know.
Is that the one she posted on? Well, you're not on that. I'm in her February coaching group or whatever it is. Is that the one she posted on there? Probably.
Yeah, it just has like all your, and there are tons of different versions of them, and you can find your own, the one that you like, or you can even make your own. But this one just has Instagram reach out, new Instagram followers, Facebook ads, Facebook reach outs, challenge invites, coaching invites, follow-ups.
Oh, yeah, that's a little different.
Yeah. So yours might be a little more simple.
Yeah, it is.
Which is perfect. But just as long as you're doing those invites, and then it also like your workout, drinking Shakeology, your personal development, and then checking your back office. So that I think is huge, and it seems so dumb. And Brigitte did this on the Surge one time too. She was talking with Carl Deichler and all this about this document specifically and how it's huge to just actually make that check, and it seems like, there's so many things that we want to be doing and it's just one more thing and it feels like busy work, but it gets missed if we don't track it. And then it also gives us the chance to look back and see like, okay, well, this is why I'm having success because I'm doing these things, or this is why I'm not, because I'm not doing those invites, or I'm not doing my posts or whatever. So
do you keep them in like a binder, or do you keep it like by your computer? Where do you keep it so that you're really good about being consistent with it? Do you have to keep it visible, or you know what I mean?
I have to have it printed out and paper. Some people can do it on a document online, but I like to have it printed out on a paper, and I just keep it by my computer, so it's just right there, so I see it.
So, I was just curious.
Yeah, but I mean, you'll find what works for you. So, so do you guys have any other questions?
I just have one. It seems like when I'm inviting people, I don't know how to get through to them to sign up as a coach. You know what I mean? They'll sign up for the challenge pack, and I'm like, well, what do you say to people? I know I've talked to you about this before, but it's I just can't get people to understand. I don't know.
Right. So I usually say, I say, do you want, there's a chance, I don't know. It's kind of different with everybody, but I just let them know. When I'm talking to them about the challenge pack, I say, and I talk about Shakeology, I say, well, it's $130 normally, but you can sign up as a discount coach, or you can sign up to get a discount. I think a lot of times if we take that word coach out of it too, then it's less overwhelming to people because they think, oh, coach, oh, I can't do that. I don't want to, I think the more we say coach or because then they think they have to do something, you know what I mean? Because
that makes sense.
So you can just say, you can sign up. I can sign you up so you can get a discount.
Okay.
And you can start with saying that. Because
it seems like you're really good at that. It seems like most of your people sign up for the discount, don't they?
Most of them do, but I have a few that don't. But I just offer it to everybody, and I really try to make it no pressure. Like I said, so there's two ways to sign up. You can sign up as a customer, but if you sign up as a coach, it's free. And then you get a discount on all Beachbody products, and then you can also say, and I say, you do have to pay a $15 a month fee after the first month. You don't have to pay it the first month, but that takes your Shakeology down to $98 a month, and you're still saving around $20 because they give you a better deal on shipping.
Yeah.
So it's worth it for that. You can cancel anytime. I say the club membership is awesome because with the new streaming that they're going to be doing. So I mentioned that to them. I say, you're going to be able to, that club membership will allow you to stream workouts like the old P90X and Insanity, all those, So I let them know about that. But I think sometimes the less information we can give people, it's almost better, Or the less, and not, they need to know the details and they need to know, but I just try to keep it simple as there's a way you can get a discount, Anyway.
Okay.
But, and then some people get freaked out about when they sign up as a coach that it has them enter their social security number and all that. And that's just, you can say that's only if you decide to be a coach. They don't use it unless you start making money, and then it's for tax purposes. And so I don't know. It's just, if you just focus on the discount part of it, if they're really not interested in the business part of it, just say, this is the way to get the best deal, you know?
Okay. The best deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway. Yeah. But I think sometimes people do get scared by just the word coach. They're like,
So, hey, then I have a quick question about the streaming. So you won't have to buy the old P90X and the old Insanity. You can stream it for free with it, with your...
Yeah. So there'll be a certain, I'm not sure exactly which ones, but there will be certain workouts that are just free with your club membership. And then any workout that you've already purchased, you can stream it. So like if you bought PiYo, you can stream PiYo.
Okay. Yeah.
So anyway.
So maybe that's a way to sell them on it too.
Yeah.
You can get those free and not have to buy those if you're interested in those.
Yeah, for sure. So anyway, so I think like this is a good time for us. I think we can do these calls kind of weekly.
Yeah.
I think we'll be good. And then we can go over them. I think it's just good to hear how everybody's doing and get some ideas and stuff. So my account is it says it's going to end the meeting in 2 minutes. So just so you know, unless I upgrade it. I think do you have anybody that wants to log on the webinar tonight, Lindsay?
I offered it to a couple people, and they never told me they did or not. But I messaged them the link.
Okay.
To you. So I don't know if they're going to or not. They might not even tell me. They might just try to log in or talk to you.
Yeah. So I'm going to try and record it. So if anybody missed it, then they should be able to find it on YouTube. So
cool. Okay.
Corey, I'm going to try and do another call with you in a minute, just so we can kind of practice the webinar a little bit.
Okay.
So it's probably going to end in a minute, but yeah, so keep up the awesome work, you guys. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, I'm feeling real awesome.
Yeah, just keep at it. I promise it will pay off. It really will. Right, Corey?
Yeah, it will.
It does.
It is a little discouraging, but I'm not going to quit. I'm determined. I'm determined.
That's the secret right there, is just to keep going. So
'cause I have to get out of the hospital.
We're going to get you out.
Okay, this is my exit strategy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right. See you guys.
See ya.
Bye.
Let's see.